You know, in our digital world, we're constantly navigating this maze of accounts, data, and services. Everything from your personal email to critical company databases is protected by some kind of digital gate. But how do we decide who gets a key? And, just as important, what that key can actually open. And that, right there, is what we're going to unpack.
And really, this is the fundamental question of cybersecurity today. Who gets the keys to your digital kingdom? Is it just you? Your team? Some automated app? Figuring this out and managing it is one of the biggest challenges out there, and it's exactly what we're exploring in this explainer on identity and access management, or as you'll often hear it called, IAM.
All right, so let's get right into it. Let's start with the basics. What is IAM anyway? It might sound a little complex, but the core idea is actually incredibly straightforward.
At its heart, IAM is basically the rulebook and the referee for your entire digital world. It all boils down to two simple questions. First, who are you? That's the identity part. And second, what are you allowed to do? And that's the access part. And here's the key thing. This doesn't just apply to people. It applies to apps, servers, machines, you name it.
This analogy? It really nails it. Think of an IAM system as this central digital passport office. It's the authority that issues your credentials, your login info, and then it validates that passport every single time you try to cross a border into a new app or a new set of data. It is the ultimate gatekeeper.
Okay, so how does this whole digital passport office actually work? Well, it all comes down to a really foundational concept in security, known as the AAA triad.
So the whole process works in three distinct steps. First up, you've got authentication. This is you proving your identity. You type in a password, use your fingerprint, maybe you get a code on your phone. Then, once the system knows who you are, it moves to step 2, authorization. This is where it decides what you can actually do. Can you read a file or can you delete it? Big difference. And finally, there's accounting. Think of this as the security camera, the logbook. Every single action, successful or not, gets recorded. And that is absolutely crucial for security audits and for figuring out what happened if something goes wrong. And that authorization step? It's not just a simple yes or no. There are different ways to do it. For example, with role-based access control, or RBAC, your permissions are just tied to your job title. Simple. If you're on the marketing team, you get marketing access. But it can get way smarter. With attribute-based access control, or ABAC, the system can look at other things, like where you are logging in from or even what time of day it is, before it gives you access. The point is, access can be controlled with incredible precision.
Now, all of these tools and models, they're all guided by one single overarching strategy. A golden rule, really. If you remember just one thing about IAM strategy, make it this.
It's called the principle of least privilege, and the idea is so simple but so powerful. Any user or any system should only have the absolute bare minimum permissions it needs to do its job, and nothing more. So for example, a database engineer? Yeah, they need to write to a test environment, maybe read some production logs, but do they need access to HR records? No way, absolutely not. By locking things down like this, you dramatically shrink the potential damage if an account ever gets compromised.
And shrinking that risk is so important because, well, when IAM is mismanaged, the consequences can be catastrophic. And this isn't some theoretical problem. It happens all the time.
Let's just walk through a real-world example from 2022 that shows you exactly what's at stake here.
So here's the play-by-play. A developer left sensitive access keys, think of them as digital master keys, directly inside the application's code. Then, that code was uploaded to a public code repository, like GitHub. Well, guess what? Attackers are constantly scanning for exactly this kind of mistake. They found the keys, used them to get full administrative access, and game over. Critical data was gone. And this is the most critical takeaway from that whole incident. The company's firewalls, they were fine. Their network was secure. But it didn't matter one bit. The attackers didn't need to break down the door because someone had basically handed them the master key. It was a complete and total failure of identity and access management.
And this kind of failure is especially dangerous today because the whole nature of our digital infrastructure has changed. We've all moved to the cloud, and that has made IAM the new front line, the new primary battlefield for security.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? In the old days, you had a company network with a big, strong wall around it. But in the cloud, your resources are everywhere. There is no single perimeter anymore. So the only thing that defines the boundary is identity. Who is allowed in and what can they do? That is your new firewall.
And in this complex cloud world, it is so easy to make a mistake. The landscape is just filled with these pitfalls. A single user with way too much power, a storage bucket accidentally left open to the public, forgetting to change the locks on a service account, or leaving behind these ghost accounts for employees who left years ago. Each one is just an open door waiting for an attacker.
So after hearing about all these risks, what can you actually do about it? Let's pivot from the problems to the solutions. Here's a clear defensive strategy. A strong defense is built on layers. The absolute foundation is multi-factor authentication, MFA. It's the single best thing you can do to stop password theft. On top of that, you need constant vigilance. That means regularly reviewing who has access to what, using secure tools to manage credentials instead of just pasting them into code, and granting that super powerful admin access only for the moments it's truly needed. And finally, you have to log everything. You can't defend what you can't see.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this one simple question. Your most valuable digital assets are behind a locked door. Identity and access management is simply the practice of meticulously controlling who holds a key, what that key can open, and tracking its every single use. So I'll leave you with this. Who's holding the keys to your kingdom?